Hey everyone, it's James here from Tin Robot Games, and I am going to do an update today on Cities of Venus. First of all, I just came back from Origins, and man, what a fantastic time I had there. It was an absolute blast. We had a chance to showcase Cities of Venus with some people. We even play tested the sequel of Survivors of Venus, which is cool. Got some great feedback on that. And it made a lot of friends, which is really cool. And that's what these are all about, is meeting people in the industry and sharing this commonality that we all love. So for Cities of Venus, I just want to give a quick update. So first and foremost, the Pledge Manager should be launched in the next couple of days. We're just putting the final touches on this right now with Backer Kit. The one thing we're just trying to figure out is right now, if someone does a late pledge, they can choose then a button that says change my pledge, and then it gives them an option to actually then change to the Kickstarter pledge, which is at a lower cost. So just trying to make sure that that's fixed before we launch it, so it's fair to everyone. What we might have to do is set the default that if you want to change your pledge, that you just reach out to us, and then we'll have to do it manually in the back end. That might be the best way to do it for everyone. All right, so what are we covering off? Other than the Pledge Manager, which is, again, going to come out in the next couple of days, we are moving towards production very, very fast on this. Although we have October of 2024 being when we're going to deliver this game, I'm doing everything in my power to see if we can deliver this early. And of course, I'm going to share the updates as we come along, and you can see kind of behind the scenes, as we always like to share, what's being adjusted, things as they come in, kind of my thoughts on it, and then we go from there. So what I'm going through today, and I'm very excited about this, is this game is being manufactured by Sky Game. And I had the opportunity to be able to meet with them at Origins. We had a great meeting there. They brought with them the 3D sculpts, is what we call them. That's these guys. And I was able to take these back with me so I could, of course, do this video and spend some more time just kind of looking at them, making sure they're correct before we sign off. The next step after I sign off on these sculpts is we move towards making the molds. And then the molds, that's going to take a good, they say that could take like 6-8 weeks. And then we move towards production of the minis from there. So everything is on time right now. Everything's moving very quickly. But I thought I would share these sculpts with you. So first and foremost, I'm going to go through, let's do the mech first. So the mech, I'll give you an example of kind of what we originally had. So these were the 3D printed ones. Let's see if I can get some focus on there. There we go. And of course, my very talented niece Megan painted them. So these two are exactly the same. They're 3D printed. But what you can see is a striation in the, I'm sure I said that word properly, in the back of the mech. You can see these little lines going along, and that's because these are 3D printed, right? So you're not going to have the resolution that you would normally have if something is molded. But for the purpose of playtesting, for doing videos for a Kickstarter, for photography, these worked really, really well. Okay. This is what they sent as a sculpt. First and foremost, I can tell right away that these are heavier. The type of material we use is much, much heavier. I'm going to be cognizant of that because that is going to probably increase the ship weight of the game. Of course, I accommodated for that in setting up the ship weight originally in all my forecasts, but once you have 6 of these babies in the box, I'm curious to see how much that increases the ship weight. So when I compare these two, first and foremost, what you're going to see, and I think the bottom is a great way to tell this, is the detail on the sculpt they have is way, way more refined. These aren't even ink washed yet. So we're going to ink wash these as well, which will pull out all the shadows and stuff like that. But when you look at the detail on the side, and again, this white one's reflecting like crazy. Maybe we'll take the painted one. You might be able to see better. There, the light bouncing up. There, that one there. Okay. Try to do everything like in reverse here on this camera. Okay. So there is the original 3D printed one, and this is the sculpted one. If I look the same side, it may not be easy to tell on camera, but one is it's smoother, right? So you don't have the lines from the 3D printing, but you also have the details are showing up a lot more refined on these models. You can see it specifically in the legs. So this one here, my niece had to kind of paint in the details, like almost, you know, enhance them with some paint so they showed up. Whereas you can very clearly see the definition of the legs in this one, even the ground, the dirt. It has a lot of texture to it. So I'm very, very happy with the way these are turned out. When I first picked them up, the one thing I really could tell immediately was they felt or appeared to me to be a little bit bigger. So I wanted to get them back home and actually measure it. And when I put them up against themselves, indeed, you can see this. These are the bottoms kind of next to each other. They're about, if I estimate, maybe 2% bigger. I don't know if this was because I had trouble with the file, because when you're sending the files, we call these like STL files, is a type of file. I think it's stereotopic lithography or something like that is what that stands for. But the STL files, the mold companies use a completely different software than these are created in, and they have to try to translate from one file type to another, and you're setting them the whole dimensions of the model, and they're having to scale it to get it to kind of fit the dimensions. So it's not like they just import the file and hit print. There's a lot of kind of work back and forth. And I'm thinking that this is just based on what they created, based on the outer dimensions I provided. So then the next question becomes, is 2% larger a big deal? The quote that they provided in terms of all the costs I have estimated for this game are based on this size. So it's not like this is going to cost me more, but it comes down to functionality, right? So let's talk about the functionality. This mech was designed to hold a V-knot, so this little dude here, and a die in its back, right? The oar, which again looks super cool. And at Origins, we had a lot of feedback where people said, "Man, that looks super cool." One thing you notice is the guy falls out right away as soon as you angle it when I do that. So here's the gray one. So I'm going to put the guy in the gray one, and I'm going to put he's still going to fall out if you angle it. But when it's on the table, you're not going to angle it out. You want to be able to put him in and pull him out quickly. And I'm going to put the die in there. So the die fits. That's a good thing. Let me get the 3 here. We're doing this live on camera. You're getting to see what I see and what I'm looking at when I'm looking at this. This guy's not going to stay in here. All right, but I'm looking at the die. If I look at 6. All right. So let's compare these two beside each other. It goes in a bit the same depth. This goes actually in a little bit deeper, which is not a bad. It's not a bad thing. I can pull the die in and out easily. The dude obviously fits in easily. The hole that he fits into is a little bit bigger on this one than this one. I haven't decided if that's a good or bad thing yet, quite frankly. I think when you're putting them in quickly, in and out, because that's what you're doing during the game, the larger hole might be a little bit better. I mean, again, we're talking like 1-2% bigger, but I can tell because I've worked with these quite a bit. I think I'm cool with that, actually. What I might do, and here's one thing that I noticed, is I'm not sure if you can see it inside this model. We're going to try to do it with the camera here. Yeah, you can. See that little lip on the inside of that hole? That is not in this model. Not there. So I'm not sure if when these guys 3D printed it, they just had trouble and just cut that out, or if that's, I don't think that's in the file. So I'm going to ask him. So I would either say, hey, take that ridge out and lift the ridge up so this guy fits in a little bit more snug, or get rid of that ridge altogether so when you put this in, it doesn't hit it with his feet when you're putting it in. I kind of want him to go in a little bit deeper too. I kind of want him to go in like 2 millimeters deeper. So these are the things I'm going to review with the factory. But overall, if I signed off on these today, I'd be extremely happy. These look awesome. They look super awesome. All right. So that's the mech. The second thing that they sent was, I'm going to show you the originals. This is the first player marker, which now is included in every game. Everybody gets this for free. There's a white one with the light bouncing off it, hard to see. So I'm going to show you the painted one that, again, my niece Megan did. She did an amazing job on this. But again, she kind of added in the details herself. She kind of just painted the details in because it didn't have a lot of depth to like the little nodes and stuff. And I'm thinking an example would be like the end. Look at how that end little hatches on the end of that canister, right? Now, if I compare to this, here's what came from the model guys. This is what got me crazy excited, because the detail on that, look at the end of that one. Like, it is super detailed. Here's how detailed this model is there's things that I was seeing on this model that I forgot was in the original design, because you can't even see them on the 3D prints. So things like, is a perfect example here. On this one here, at the base, you can't really see. There's like a circle there, but there's like no definition in the 3D print. And the same model, there's like a ton of definition. There's like a starburst symbol kind of on the bottom of that. So the details is really good. The first player marker, good to go. I love it the way it is. The only thing I would say is that it was interesting when they sent me the digital models of this and said, hey, this is going to be in 3 pieces. So you can't tell from this model, but this top piece is one piece. It kind of breaks off where the the wrist, I guess, of the arm is, and then it also disconnects down here where it plugs into the base. And so I said to the factory, I don't want people having to assemble these and disassemble these in the games. And they assured me, they said, no, this is just for the 3D printing. Everything's going to be glued and fused on our end, that it will look like one piece when it comes out of the box. And they are not wrong. If I didn't realize this, if I didn't know how this was made, I would assume this was actually molded as one single piece. It looks awesome. So that's the first player marker. And this now is going to be included in every game. Again, we're going to ink wash them. It brings out all the shadows and things like that, which make them look super cool on the table. And then if people still want to paint them, they can. You probably have to do like a pre-treatment before you paint them to make sure your paint sticks well. But people that paint minis know all about how to do that, so that's not as big of a deal. But for those that don't paint, you're going to have some super cool looking models on the table. So that's essentially the models. I want to share that with you guys really quickly. So the models, next step is I'm going to look at these a little bit more. I'm going to make a call. I think just now as we talk this through, I'm probably going to say, yeah, let's make that hole where the V-knot goes in. Let's make that a little bit deeper. And then let's get rid of that shelf. And they can either get rid of the shelf by raising up the plastic in that part, or just carving it down so that you can just drop the guy easy. I'm thinking carve it down a little bit deeper, 2 mils deeper. That way you can drop the V-knot and way to go. So we just made that decision together just now. So that'll be signed off. The next step is we go to the molding phase. Again, as I said, it's probably going to be 6-8 weeks. Once that's done, then we go to production on the actual minis themselves. That will take like 3-4 months. So that's going to bring us right to before Chinese New Year that hits in February of next year. In the meantime, we're updating a lot of the components that we had. Like, so for instance, the cards. There was a lot of great feedback that came from a lot of the backers on this game. So we're actually implementing a lot of those ideas into the game. Even when I was at Origins, I think someone had an idea. I wrote it down. I can't remember, but I know at the time I'm like, that's a cool idea. So there's time. I think I'm going to try to work that in as well. And likewise, the player boards themselves. I got new prototypes, which if I had them in my hands, it would be great to set that up ahead of time so I could have showed on camera. They look fantastic. So the factory fixed the middle layers, so the cards slide in and out, zero warping with the cards going in and out. So that has been fixed, right? So that is good. Still, the bottom layer still has a bit of a curve to it this way. So when you sit on the table, you can see it curve up ever so slightly. Not a big deal. Like when I compare this to Aquatica, I mean, anybody that has Aquatica, you open up the shrink wrap and the boards are automatically warped as soon as you pull them out of the box. But again, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I'm going to see how flat we can get them. And I think if we make that, we're talking at Origins as we're kind of reviewing the boards, if we can make it a little bit thicker, that bottom layer, I think those boards will be just that much more flat. Likewise, we're probably going to do linen finish on the boards, which will give them more ruggedness, quite frankly, when they're coming in and out of the box. When you're using them, less chance of them scratching and getting nicked and so forth when you have a linen finish on them. So we're trying to get that done as well. We also talked about the cards themselves. I'm pretty happy with the card quality we have, but we are going to investigate ways we can make those cards even more rugged. I know there's a lot of people that have been wanting to sleeve the cards. I'll probably announce this, I think, too, because I know there's some people that backed for $1 waiting for the pledge manager, waiting to see, are we going to be able to do sleeves or not? In review, they're going to be too loose. The cards are going to be too loose in the board. And we gave it a good look, and we tried to figure it out if we could add, make these holes bigger so they could accommodate sleeves. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that. So, not so good for the people who love the sleeve, but one thing I am investigating is PLC cards, which are insanely expensive, which many people know. I'm going to cost those out and see if there's an opportunity. If not on this print run we do, maybe in the first time we circle back with another set of cards that are given different variety for the game, maybe we have a PLC card pack, which could be really cool. That's a lot of cards made of plastic. So again, don't know if I can afford it, if we can do it, but I'm going to investigate it. And that's my one commitment to everybody, is I'm going to investigate everything possible that we can do with this game to make it as premium as possible. And if we can do it, I'm going to do it. Right, and that has been our commitment all the way through. So that's the update on Cities of Venus. Lots coming. Very excited about this world we've built. If you did back the game, do me a favor, fill out the pledge manager sooner rather than later when it gets launched. It helps us with our numbers, because as we start figuring out the manufacturing numbers, within about 6 weeks, I'm going to have to make a call on how many minis we're going to make, and that's going to depend on exactly who's pledging what. So if you're seeing this video and you didn't back the game, we have opened up late pledges as well. So if you go to the Kickstarter page or just citiesofvenus.com, that'll take you to the late pledge manager, and you can late pledge and jump in on this game and see what all the magic is about. Anyway, guys, hope you have a fantastic evening. If you were at Origins, I hope you're getting some rest and recovering. And look forward to seeing any of you that were there. If you're going to be going to Essen in the fall, hopefully we can connect and play a game together. Anyway, you guys take care.